Today we're gonna show you how to size a gold ring size down. Let me show you. This is a ring that I've been working on for my wife for, I don't know, way too long. You don't want to hear about it. But did a nice gallery for inside, engraved it. It's not polished or finished, and I just set the stones. I have to clean up around the stones, and I have to add all kinds of detail to the side, but you get the idea. It's like a cigar band ring. It's going to be very nice. One of these days I will finish it. Anyway, this is a yellow gold ring. We're going to size it down about a size. So first, we're going to cut it. You want to cut it straight across the shank. See how I'm holding the ring? You know, my finger is down here, the ring is here, so it's like in a vise. It's not moving anywhere. So we're going to cut it like this, straight. Make the cut nice and straight. Don't cut all the way through, because you don't want the ring to be flopping around, because we're going to cut about 2.5 millimeters, which is the size. 2.5 millimeters, and we're going to cut parallel to this cut so we don't have to fix anything later. This time we're going to cut it all the way through. All the way through, and then we're still holding on to this ring. Here, we're going to cut that part off, like that. Okay, I'm going to make sure we don't have any burrs or anything like that. And then we're going to bend it. This is a pretty thin shank, so I can pretty much bend it with my fingers. Otherwise, if it was thicker, I would use pliers, or I would use something like this, and I would bend it. There's prongs on this and diamonds on here, so we don't want to damage the prongs. So we're going to push it this way, and then we're going to push it back the other way this way. Okay, bring it back together. Okay, it's together, but it's not straight this way, so now we're gonna straighten it out this way. We want it to be as straight as possible and as snug as possible. Do it again. There. We want them to be pushing against each other, not too much, just to be closed, and make sure that we're straight. Okay? Yeah, putting a finger over like this to shade it a little bit so it's not glaring. It's helpful to see. So we're going to take a tweezer. Going to grab this little guy like that. Take our boric acid and alcohol that protects the metal and the stones from fire scale. Yeah, we're gonna go like that. Green fire, everybody likes that. Okay, I'm gonna put it here. I'm gonna take our flux and try to make sure that it goes all the way through. That helps the solder and the metals to join together. Make sure our soldering pick is not dirty with white gold or whatever. For soldering pick, believe it or not, for over 30 years, I use coat hanger wire. It works great. Never had a problem with it. For platinum, of course, you can't use that. All right, so we need yellow gold solder. I have this is easy. I have my medium yellow gold solder here. So we're going to take our torch. You would learn how to judge how much fire you need after you do it for a while. The best way I've learned and taught people actually to draw wire, make a bunch of jump rings, make a chain out of the jump rings, not long, you know, however long you want, and then put it into boric acid and take each link one by one, cut yourself some solder and solder all those jump rings without having the solder run to one side or the other side. Just enough solder to close that gap, and by the time you do a chain about this long, it may take you half a day, it may take you 2 days, depending on your skill. But by the time you do that, you will get an idea of what flame should do, how far away you hold it, where the hottest point is, how hard it's blowing, how much oxygen or too much oxygen. Anyway, we're going to heat this ring because we don't want it to, if it's too tight, like white gold is very springy, it's going to push, and if there's other solder joints there, it might push the piece out. So it's a good idea to anneal it and to warm it. And it heated pretty good. There. When you apply that solder to that ring, when it's hot enough, it should just suck it right in. You don't want to be holding your flame on that solder. It's going to make it boil. It's not what you want. You want that solder to just get sucked in and be done. We're going to check our sides, check on the inside if we went all the way through. Make sure that our solder joint is nice. Don't want this flame too hot, not too much oxygen. There. Okay. I'm going to quench it in my alcohol. These are diamonds, so that's okay. If you have a color stone, you never want to do that. Color stones you have to let cool by themselves, and only sapphires, rubies, maybe a couple of others take heat. All the other stones you cannot heat. They will break. You do not heat them. Okay, so now before I straighten the ring out, I'm going to take my little handy dandy tool like this, which is sandpaper wrapped around this mandrel. You can buy these now, but you can make them easily. I made them like that for years. But they're available like this now. And what we're going to do is we're going to clean up the inside. We want it straight, because if it's not round, when we put on the mandrel to straighten it out, it may break or crack in that solder joint. So I'm going to put it on our ring mandrel. I'm going to take a rawhide hammer, excuse me, gently straighten it out. Now with this particular ring, I'm not going to do it right now, but I would go through these stones. This particular setting, there's a tool that I'll show you another time that you wedge in between and you push it and it tightens up the stone. And while you're doing it, you would take the same tool and check each stone if they're loose or not, because as we bend that shank down, some of these stones may have loosened up. Okay, so we're going to take a buff stick, because we don't really have a lot of filing to do here, so we're not going to bother with a file. It's important that you hold the ring like in a vise, like this, and part of my finger is underneath the bench pin right here. So I'm going to use a buff stick, which is easy to make. You can use a little flywheel, but you'll never get a straight line like you will with this. I don't care who tells you how practiced they are, you will never get a straight, flat surface unless you're working with a buff stick. We're going to go over here, and we're going to file that off a little bit on the outside. We can go to the side here and check the thickness, make sure it's equal. Come back here, and this side looks good. But this side, I have a little bit of a, so I'm going to straighten that out. Gold is pretty forgiving, so you could probably polish that out, but this is better to do it this way. Now I'm going to put this in, we're done with the sizing. I'm going to put this in a pickle acid to get rid of all the boric acid, because it kind of turns to glass after you put fire to it. So we're going to put in the boric acid, into the pickle acid, I'm sorry. And after it sits in the pickle acid for a little bit, we're going to rinse it off with water and polish it, check the stones, and we're done. Thank you very much. Thank you for visiting our tutorial channel. Please subscribe. And if you need any help with anything, you're welcome to get in touch with us. Thank you again.